right, great. Let's get situated here. Okay. Astrology 101, class 2. We're going to talk about the history of astrology. We're going to talk about how astrology was taught in the past. It was taught as a science. Spoiler alert. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how some of your favorite astronomers were also astrologers. So come on in, get comfortable, tap the screen, follow me if you're not already following. Hi, J-Time. Hi, the introvert. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Rising Roots. I see folks from the, what's it called? Discord. I see folks from the Discord. Thanks for the participation. You know, TikTok likes all those sort of things. So if TikTok likes it, I love it. Let's get into it. I'm going to get class started in just a little bit. I'm running a little bit late. So I can assume that some of y'all are running a little bit late too, but how are y'all feeling? How was your weekend this past weekend? I was in the Caribbean, y'all. It was fabulous. Really had a good time. I went snorkeling. I was in a transparent boat. Very, Yamaya energy in the Caribbean this weekend. Thank you for the happy late birthday. I appreciate it. Share the live. If you know other students, make sure that they know that we are live. We're gonna get into the history of astrology today. It's gonna be a brief history of astrology. The history of astrology is actually quite huge, and there's maybe a little bit of debate available about, who originated astrology. Was it the Egyptians? Was it the Babylonians? Was it the Chinese? We'll see. Now, that all depends on who you talk to, right? The book that we're using is very European-centric, like, most textbooks. Hey, what's up? Good morning. Welcome on in. Tap the screen, share the live, let people know that you're in here. Oh, I should probably do the same thing. I'm going to share it to a couple people because that's what TikTok likes, right? TikTok likes it when you do that. Okay, so the way that it's laid out in the book, it talks about prehistory, it talks about Egypt and Greece in the same breath, and then it gets into Christianity, right? It's Christianity after that. Oh no, it's Rome and then Christianity, because that's kind of how it happens, right? So let me get started here. So astrology is an ancient science, is what it is. Okay, y'all. Tap the screen, all those sorts of things. It's going to make TikTok so happy. You can also buy your professor a coffee. I do start my day with a coffee. This is, you see like my little mushrooms on my cup. Isn't it cute? Okay, so astrology is an ancient science. At least 30,000 years ago, 35,000 years ago is when we start to see evidence, right? That's when we see evidence of people tracking patterns in the sky. No, I don't want any of these today. So we found that, there are tablets that have been found in Mesopotamia and in, the areas of essentially what we would call the Middle East, where folks were recording the patterns of the heavens, right? They saw the planets do this, the observable planets from, and astrology counts the moon and the sun as planets. You'll see that repeated on and on throughout class. I will refer to the sun as a planet. When we know that it's a star, astronomically, astrologically, we refer to it as a planet. They're all planets, these chart points. So the markings of the visible planets, sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are the ones that you can look up tonight. Tonight you can look up and you'll probably be able to see Saturn, Venus, Mercury stays close to the sun because it doesn't have a choice, right? But Venus is the brightest object in the sky. But anyway, ancient people were looking at these objects in the sky, right? And what did they see? They saw patterns, right? And consider that in prehistory, everybody had a perfect view of the sky, because once you stepped away from that fire, that's all that you saw, right? Was the entire galaxy. You could see the Milky Way, and you saw that there were some stars that moved. They had a behavior, right? And patterns that you could check over time. And I'm sure there was definitely some conversation about, hey, look at this little planet. You see how it's constantly moving? What does that mean, right? So these folks, and there's been some conversation, there was some conversation in our last live about a connection between autism and pattern recognition and, like seeing the patterns of the planets in the skies, right? Because most stars are fixed, right? Actual stars that are galaxies away are fixed in the skies to us. But the planets are the ones that move. So seeing those patterns and having pattern recognition, somebody said, I need to write this down. It's probably a Virgo, somebody with some heavy Mercury influence was like, let's document this shit. So they documented it. And they documented it on tablets, right? And, right, the one that is pictured in our book is from Iraq. Super cool. Ancient folks were not stupid. Can we talk about that for a second? I think that this is an important thing to consider. That people who lived 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, had the same mental capacity that we have, right? Just because they didn't have like TVs and internet and all these crazy, technologies that we have now. Please, no thank you. No thank you. Could you go, please? Thank you. I love you. That's my sweet baby. Just because they didn't have the same technologies, just because they couldn't fly in an airplane or drive in a car, doesn't mean that they were any less intelligent, right? So their ability to perceive these patterns and create essentially like all of the things that we are learning in school, like algebra and, all of the sciences, astronomy, astrology, chemistry, all that kind of stuff. These people were intelligent, okay? And this was happening all over the planet, right? You can see tablets from the ancient Mayan civilizations, tablets in ancient Egypt, like anywhere where they discover a pyramid, there is typically some sort of astronomical or astrological correlation made in these spaces, right? When they shared those information. So yes, please, thank you so much for tapping the screen. Thanks for following me. Hello, and welcome on in, y'all. So early astrologers and astronomers, they use the same word. And I think in Latin it was like mathematica or something like that. They shared a similar word. Something that was like scientist, right, was used to describe these people. Because if you were following the patterns of the heavens, and like we talked about in the beginning of class, do y'all recall we read in Parker's Astrology that thinking people tend to consider, okay, well, something's happening down here. How is what's happening to us correlate with the grander universe? Because there's something bigger out there, right? How does that work? And how do we quantify that, right? Record keeping, basically. And that's what folks were doing for a very long period of time. And the Babylonians set us up for success. So in ancient Babylon, the astrologers went hard. They created the first, like, what we have seen, right? What is recorded, and a lot of history, as we are seeing presently, how war can destroy tons of history and information and books and records. Many, many cultures have had their histories erased by colonization, by war, and the impacts of those things, right? And then the behaviors of the humans who colonize those spaces often destroy what they see. So having that information, knowing that perhaps there were other places in this world that had those records, but those records have been destroyed. So we don't know. We don't have those histories anymore. But just because we don't have them doesn't mean that they didn't exist, is the point that I'm trying to get to. So, anyway, the earliest records that we have are from Mesopotamia, from Babylon, and in Egypt. In Egypt, this book kind of, I don't know. This book is very Eurocentric and kind of leans away from saying that what was found in Egypt is the earliest stuff that was found, which, is giving racism. It's giving erasure, because, Ramses and people before Ramses were buried in their, elaborate spaces. That is extremely distracting. I'm sorry. Can you please do what we agreed upon? Thank you. Or you could take that and this and go in the other room and chill. No? Okay. Then you're going to need to do what we agreed upon. Okay? All right. So anyway, what was I getting at? I lost my train of thought. So, right. So, Ramses and, other kings before him were buried with, astrological information. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? So, right. In Egypt, in China, in Central America, in the Americas, Mexico, what is now known as the United States, all of these places, astrology was being recorded, right? Hello and welcome in. So with that being known, and the astrology as we know it and as I have studied it, was popularized, and the names that we use for the stars, right, came from ancient Greek gods, right? Saturn, right, is a Roman name for Kronos, right? The Greek god of time, and all of those things. Father Time, right? That's Saturn. And which makes a lot of sense when you think about Saturn as a planet, right? And we're going to learn more about the planets as we move forward. But Saturn time, right? Saturn takes a long time to go around the sun, right? It takes about 30-ish years. And that's also about the amount of time that the human brain needs to develop and mature, right? So welcome on in, tap the screen, say hello. Welcome to Astrology 101. We're learning about the history of astrology today. So the language that we use around astrology came from Greece and from their colonizers, the Romans, right? Now, the origins before that, right? So where did that come from? Many argue, the Greeks came up with everything, which is not completely factual. A lot of these gods, and if you watch the video that I put into our, what is it called? Google Classroom. I put a video in Google Classroom called The Greatest Story Ever Told, and it's from a movie called Zeitgeist. And Zeitgeist it's a cool movie, but the beginning is really the piece that correlates with class, right? With Astrology 101. And so it talks about how, the same story is being told all around the world. Humans are sun worshipers. The sun keeps us safe. It keeps us warm. The sun, and we'll talk about this more in planets as we get to describing what the planets are and their qualities. Is the sun is the love planet, not Venus. Venus is beauty and things that we're attracted to, which sometimes feels like love, but that's not really true love. True love comes from the sun, right? And every religion, right? All of these like ancient religions have a deity that is likened to the sun, right? Like Ra, Zeus isn't the sun, but he is of the sun, right? Helios, all of these like sun-centric worship religions all came together and have this same concept, right? Although they worship in different ways, they use different language. It's all about the sun, right? And the sun, the moon, and the sky. It's something that we all share globally. So please watch that video. I would love to hear your thoughts as a class about the content of that video. That video also talks about the concept of astrological ages, right? Like we go around the sun and it takes us 365 days to do that, and there's 360 degrees in a circle. How about that? But, what is the sun doing? The sun is also rotating, and the sun is rotating around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. How long does that take, right? And that's like a great year. And the great year takes time too. It takes, oh my gosh, it's like 24, 25, 26,000 years or something like that. Because it goes through each astrological space in about 2,100 years is the estimate. Now when all that, there are astrologers that argue that we are in the age of Aquarius, or we're not yet in the age of Aquarius and we're still in Pisces. I believe that we're already in the age of Aquarius. There's an astrologer by the name of Sun Ra, who is the teacher of my teacher. I learned a lot from the lab coat astrologer who's on here. I can't not sing his praises. He's a very learned astrologer. But Sun Ra says we are in the age of we are in the age of Aquarius, and we came into the age of Aquarius around the time that humans achieved flight, which convinced me completely. Like, you don't really have to, like, you can look into the science, you can look into, the astrological shifts and also the shifts of religion. If you look at religious shifts, there were a lot of religious shifts happening around, 2,100 years ago from then, the early 1900s, the earliest 20th century. Hello and welcome on in. Please tap the screen, let TikTok know that you're alive. Put your zodiac signs in the chat. That's what I should have asked y'all in the very beginning. What's your sun sign? if your first assignment was to figure out what my sun sign is, we're in Aquarius. Therefore, I am an Aquarius. So if you guessed Aquarius, you were correct. I graded everybody who got it right. If you didn't get it right, I didn't send you a grade. Hello, Scorpios. Hello, Aries. Sagittarius. My bestie is a Sagittarius. What's up, Aquarius? Oh, happy birthday, Pisces. Oh, happy almost birthday. Awesome. Who else is in here? What are your astrological signs? What's your zodiac sign, your sun sign? And you're going to learn the difference between what a sun sign and a moon sign and your rising sign. What's up? Happy almost birthday, Pisces. What's going on, y'all? You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, zodiac signs in chat. Gemini, Virgo sun, Aquarius rising, Cancer moon. Oh, you are in the right place, honey. Okay. Rising roots Reiki. Oh, I'm going to give you your reading probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to be able to get to it. Things are moving a little bit slower on my end than I anticipated. Virgo sun, Libra moon, Scorpio rising. Oh, what's up, friend? What's up? Thank you. I appreciate your flexibility and understanding. Okay, so let's get back to ancient Greek and classical Greece. Okay, so yeah, Greece and Rome get all the credit for Western astrology, which is like, I appreciate you too. Thank you. You know, that's like lazy, that's lazy Western history. Now I have not studied Kemetic astrology. However, I know for a fact that and you can do your own research, like, and I put this in our Google Classroom, like, one of my favorite Aquarian siblings, LeVar Burton, says, you don't have to take my word for it. Look in a book, okay? Do your own research, please. I think that is essential, right? Now I've done a lot of research. I've really looked into astrology. This is obviously like my hyperfixation, and you know, if I did, I could very easily like have a master's degree in this stuff. However, you know, that's not available in our current. That's not how this thing is set up, okay? They don't want you to have this knowledge because this knowledge is super powerful. The skies are super powerful, I promise you. But anyway, you know, you can see on the page, ancient Egypt and classical Greece, this giant Egyptian tomb displayed, you know. Ptolemy, I'm kind of jumping all over them. If only it was, we used to teach it alongside math in schools. Yes, exactly. That is like a part of what I shared in Google Classroom. I'm a little dysregulated this morning. Sorry, y'all. I'm like literally all over the place. But in the book, it's showing you Ramses here, right? And Ramses was buried with tablets explaining, you know, rising signs, right? When the sun is rising. Because they were sun worshipers, right? And how could you not be in a space where all you see is the horizon, right? Everything is flat. Good morning. Good morning. Now, to say that ancient Egypt did not have a huge influence on everyone in the Mediterranean would be I have a meeting. I'll catch the live later. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for coming through. Big Scorpio energy. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how I want to jump right into I'm just looking through the book because there is a lot about the Greeks and Ptolemy. Okay, that's where I wanted to go next. Great. Thank you, book. Okay, so Ptolemy is a famous astronomer. If you take Astrology 101, you're going to learn about Ptolemy. Ptolemy was Egyptian, low-key, but he claimed his Greek roots, right? Cleopatra was married to a Ptolemy, okay? So Ptolemy wrote all of these texts about astronomy and astrology. But your Astronomy 101 teachers aren't going to talk about the astrology piece because, that's a pseudoscience. But this extremely educated man who gave us all of this information about the patterns of the skies and then interpreted them, right, has half of his life's work dismissed. I wonder how he feels about that in the afterlife. I wonder. How would you feel, right, if your full life, your full body of work is not being appreciated by the schools that say that you're the bomb.com, right? So Ptolemy is like a founder of Hellenistic astrology, right? And Hellenistic astrology really is like advanced astrology topics that we're not going to get into in 101, like zodiacal releasing and all that kind of stuff, which really gets into the nitty gritty of how astrology can be very specific and give you really great details, down to seconds, right? But we're not going to get into that, okay? We're talking about the basics. So, Ptolemy really breaks down astrology. And most of your astronomers before like the 20th century were also astrologers, because to study the law, right, the laws of how stars work, the laws of the stars, without not also studying the word of the stars, right? The influence, how they speak to us, how they speak not only to humans, right? Because astrology is not just about your personality and who you get along with. Astrology is in everything. Anything that has a birth date and time, businesses, countries, houses, laptops, all of those things have a birth chart. Right? If it was made, if it was founded, a tree, a bird, everything has a birth chart. Thank y'all so much for tapping the screen. Thank you so much for the follows. And if you're into this, please go to my link tree up here, and you'll be able to access the syllabus, which has the link to the Google Classroom, and the Discord, which is where we're going to follow up and we're going to have conversation about what's going on here. And I'm very excited, like joyfully, juicily excited to hear you guys' thoughts as we move through this course, particularly about the history of astrology, right? So in all of these places that I've talked about, right? Egypt, Greece, Rome, and the Roman Empire, India, China, the ancient Mayan civilization, the ancient Aztec civilizations, the peoples of the Americas, right? The people of Turtle Island. All of these people were looking to the heavens and seeing a correlation between, okay, that planet there does that, and people start to behave this way. This planet goes into retrograde, and then people start to behave that way, right? There is a correlation. Everybody on the planet saw that. Just like the tides come in on a pattern that follows the moon, there's also an influence on us and our behavior, the behavior of animals, all of that kind of stuff. Space is nature. Write that down. Space is nature, right? If it's happening up there, it's happening down here, right? And oh my gosh, what is her name? Twitchy Witch. She talks about, that text. She's a philosopher, and she's, she talks about Palestinian histories and myths and all that kind of stuff. Yes, as above, so below. That's exactly what I was about to talk about, Tiff. Ooh, I'm gonna pin that. Yes, girl. Pin this comment. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so if it's happening up there, it's happening down here as well. We are connected to everything. To say that you and I are not connected would be immediately false, because we're having a communication. We are communicating right now, right? The stars are also communicating with us. The sun has something to say to us. The sun has something to say to the earth, okay? And that's what astrology is. Astrology is way bigger than your sun sign, and that sun sign astrology shit has been put out to the masses to dispose of the ability of the common person to be able to gain power and connection to the stars, right? They talk about, you know, in religious spaces about, you know, disconnecting people from God, right? Like putting a middleman between you and your deity. The same thing with astrology, right? And I'm not saying that astrology is deified. It is not a religion. That is not what it is. It is a science, right? This is fact-based, right? I'm approaching this from a fact-based, results-based methodology, right? But there is a disconnect. They are creating a disconnect between you and the stars. Those stars are yours. You are those stars, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson says we are made of the stuff of stars. I love that. But I also, you ever have like an argument that you've built in your head, like a hypothetical argument in your imagination? I have a hypothetical argument in my imagination, and Carl Sagan as well. Carl Sagan is that man's mentor, okay? Like, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like Carl Sagan of right now. But I have an argument for him because he continuously says that astrology is a pseudoscience, right? And all of his knowledge, his PhD, his doctorate, his studies are based on Ptolemy, Kepler, all of these, Benjamin Banneker, right? Happy Black History Month, y'all. Benjamin Banneker, who was a freaking genius, who, you know, outlined patterns of the skies, pattern recognition on deck. You know that dude was on HD. Like, no way he wasn't. These people who saw stars and then correlated the patterns that they saw to behavior, to events on Earth, to weather patterns, all that kind of stuff, right? And Neil deGrasse Tyson and other public-facing scientists say, you know, astrology is not a science, have not studied the science. If you have not studied this science, then you are not qualified to say whether it is a science or not, right? And wouldn't you then also debunk everything else that like Ptolemy studied, that Kepler studied, that Benjamin Banneker studied? I want y'all to look up Benjamin Banneker and his Ephemeris. He definitely had interpretations of what was happening in the sky. Thanks for coming on in, y'all. Welcome in. Thanks for tapping the screen. Thanks for hanging out with us here in Astrology 101. Okay, so, you know, astrology doesn't go anywhere, and then all of a sudden, Christianity, right? So let's talk about Christianity and astrology. Christianity and astrology. If you watch that video, the greatest story ever told, if you watch that video that's in the Google Classroom, then it really breaks down how, you know, all religions center the sun. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit, right? And the book talks about this as well. The early Christians, these Judeo-Christian people are telling the story of Jesus, right? Jesus is born, and these three dudes follow a star to go and find him, right? They're like, today's the day. There is a conjunction between these planets, which are probably Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, right? Something unusual is happening. Something very lucky is happening. And something that will benefit us all is happening, right? Like that's what those three planets are about. And that is an unusual conjunction for all of those planets to be in the same place, because Saturn and Uranus move slow. So for them to be conjoined, and then for this other beneficial planet to come along and meet up with them, boom, it's a great day. These three astrologers are like, yo, what's up? Where's the baby? We have gifts for him, right? That's the story. So early Christians are astrologers. They're astrologers. They're astronomers. They're seeing what's happening in the sky, and they are astrologers. They are interpreting it to an event that will occur. Everything is interconnected. Most religions have similar starting off point stories told. Yes, that is the whole, yes. Yes, that is exactly why I shared that video, because I want to show that, A, we are all connected here on Earth. We're all getting the same information. We see the stars move. We interpret them. We create stories to help, personify these things, because we're human centered, right? Like, we make gods people. Are they people? Probably not. They're like some kind of energy. I am you, you are me, we are one. Yes, exactly. Y'all get it. So, the people who are writing the Bible they understand these concepts, right? We are all consciousness, period, right? Whether we imagine it as a person's body or we imagine it as a half man, half horse is irrelevant. It exists, right? In some way, shape, or form. Even atheists can get behind the function of like, there is an energy out there. Is it a God? I don't know. God is a name, right? Like, that's up to you to interpret, and your spirit, your electricity within your body. You can look at it as a science, or you can look at it as, something that we can't touch. Like, there's quantum realms out there, y'all. There's so much shit that we do not understand, and we have given it names. And that's what religion really is, Religion is like giving this consciousness, these energies, these spirits, this electricity that we are all connected with names, and for some people that doesn't land, and that's okay. But if you are here for astrology, baby, we are going to correlate the stars to what's happening on this planet. Okay. This is not religious. Okay, honey. Okay. You and me, we're getting this. Okay. And so is everybody else. I see y'all tapping. Thank you. So, Christianity was with it, right? And then there were some people who wanted to control, and some people who wanted to say, astrology is bullshit. And here's why. If you have people who are disconnected from whatever the source is, right? Whether the source is the stars, whether the source is clean water, whether the source is fresh air, whether the source is healthy food, you can control the populace, right? Does that make sense? A 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. So, there were Augustine, who is this celebrated figure in history, particularly. Okay, 1's in the chat. Thank you. 111. Yes. Okay, y'all feel me. So Augustine, who is a celebrated Christian and became a saint. This man became a saint. So like, think about Catholicism and I'm not trying to talk shit on your religion if you're Catholic, but just like, think about why they are celebrating this man who is writing a book. He took the time to write a book. Writing a book is a hard process. Okay. Oh, St. Augustine is your hometown. Oh, cool. Okay, Miss Whitney. This man wrote a book that said, no, there is no correlation between what happens in the heavens and what happens on this earth. Like the doctor of the church, honey. Okay, you feel me? And they celebrate him for that. Okay. So, now it talks about 358 CE. So that was, the first century. In the first century after the establishment of the Gregorian calendar, they started killing astrologers. Okay, that should be enough information for you. That should be enough information for you, right? When they start taking people's lives for sharing knowledge, what do we call those people in modern times? We cannot see them, right? We're okay? All right. So yeah, they start unaliving astrologers. They start unaliving women who are making their own money. Definitely is. They don't want us to be too knowledgeable. Yeah, so Western Europe was like persecuting everybody. You know, they're like, we love to destroy, right? You know, and colonization is, you know, not quite going hard yet. You know, the plague hasn't happened yet. But knowledge is dangerous, right? If you have a knowledgeable populace, then you can't tell them, well, you know, give me your money, give me your taxes for existing, you know, so that, you know, a couple people can be rich when they're not giving you any services. There's no representation with the taxation, right? So anyway, yeah, the book gets into some points that I think are cool about, you know, free will. So is there free will with astrology? I believe that there is. Plutonian energy destroying, right? But like, right, Pluto rules Scorpio, right? And Scorpio is a sign about death, but death happens purposefully for renewal, right? Mm-hmm. So if we are to have a spring, we must have a fall. We must have a winter in order for there to be spring. If it's spring all the time, I mean, that would be nice, right? It would feel good to us. But like, we'd have overgrowth. We'd have overgrowth. It would be too much, you know, we'd be stifled with all of this growth. Or at least, you know, in this particular half of the planet, this area of the planet, needs to have a cold winter. These plants need to have a cold winter. Death and rebirth is important, right? And, you know, Pluto just had a big change in the sky, right? It's been, Pluto was in Capricorn for like 16 years, and it was definitely Capricornian energy. And now Pluto's in Aquarius. And when I tell you, okay, Nancy Reagan had an astrologer, okay? And she was running that shit, all right? Ronald Reagan, he was an Aquarius, and Aquariuses make good front people, right? Because we speak to community, right? But Nancy's astrologer really laid it out on how to regain power, right? And to say that there are not astrologers consulting the Oval Office still, just like they were in Babylon, in Rome, in anywhere where there was an empire. Anywhere where there was an empire, there were astrologers, okay? China, astrologers, right? And not just lunar astrologers. They're not just focused on, you know, the 12-year zodiac and those elements and modalities, which is very interesting. Billionaires all have astrologers for a reason, right? Like Bezos, let me not give him no kisses. Bezos and, you know, the Muskie guy, all of those people have consultants who are telling them this is the day to do that. And if you pay attention and you say, okay, here's an astrological change happening, they are always doing some shit on those days. Like, these people show up with something on those days. The day that TikTok went dark was the day before Aquarius, the sun went into Aquarius, right? Went from Capricorn to Aquarius, went from structure and government to the people. So they re-release it to the people, and, you know, Trump said, hey, I did it. It was me. Right? Like, get out of here. And it was an illusion. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, that is so correct. Super late from here. Welcome. Glad you're here. Welcome on in. If you want to get the first part of the lecture, this will be on YouTube by tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, the Christians, the power structure of Christianity connected with the ruling class And that's where power was collected. And they said, we cannot have astrology in the hands of the people. So we gotta say it's bad. We gotta say it's bad. We gotta start killing astrologers, right? Like we gotta just, nobody, no, astrology, what? That's heretic stuff. Like nobody wants that. And they did, and they're still doing that. Obviously they're not killing us. That would be bad news. But then, I don't know, things are looking kind of grim. Anyway, so the Middle Ages was a crazy time. I'm not going to get into that. There were astrologers in the courts. There's always been astrology in the church, though. And I mean, if you, outside of the church, like, they still call it satanic, right? And like, it is, if you are a Christian, if you read that book, it's all astrology, my guy. Like, look up Christianity and astrology. There are tons of research papers. There's people who have dedicated their lives to talking about how astrology and Christianity are the same thing. If you talk to a learned astrologer, like somebody who's really like studied this shit, in heavy ways beyond the way that I have studied even, they will break it down for you that like, the ages, how like some of the people in the Bible live for like 500 years or something like that. And that's like impossible because like the physical body just like it. Hey, what's up, Jesse? How are you, love? Most don't read their own books, but call those, call those that don't know blasphemous. I'm not going to pin that, but anyway, yeah, no, we're not going to do all that. But, you're fighting the flu. Oh, feel better soon. Yeah, astrology is a science and it is a powerful tool. And the people who want to maintain power, the narcissists who become powerful and collect all the wealth, right? They do not want us to have access to that knowledge, right? Period. But you can have access to that knowledge and you can have it for free. The church took local customs and called them feast days and made them Catholics. Yes. They took from the pagans, they took from astrology, they took from everything, right? And watch that start to happen now, right? They're saying Black History Month isn't a thing anymore. The fuck? I'm gonna keep saying Happy Black History Month. But paganism is just like loving the earth. They're druids. You know what I'm saying? Like Christians are supposed to. Christians are supposed to love the earth. They're supposed to take care of nature, right? Boom, bam, pow! You feel me, Jesse? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Europe anymore. But yeah, famous rich people, I promise you that Beyonce has an astrologer. Yeah, but you can't tithe or make money on that. Right. Controlling the people will make you the money. Right. And why can't we just all have money? You don't have to have the most. Like, we could all have money together. Wouldn't you be happier if, like, everybody had money? You don't have to... I guess I feel so bad for Billie Eilish? Oh yeah, you can't tithe me. There is enough for everyone. The money is out there. So yeah, astrology has been going through it, but the Age of Aquarius, let's talk about the Age of Aquarius and Pluto. Let's just talk about Pluto and Aquarius. Okay, Pluto and Aquarius is really saying the people win. Unfortunately, in this self-absorbed world, most people are selfish. Yeah. You found a cookie? Okay. What does that mean? She cried so much, broke my heart. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened. You're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to tell me about that. I'm curious now. So anyway, Pluto and Aquarius, which is what's happening now and what's happening for the next, 19-ish years. Spoiler alert. The next 10 years are going to be difficult, because change is difficult, right? And those who are in power want to cling to it, right? Don't take my power from me. I will not become a serf like you, because this, the American economy is slave based. It has always been and still is right now, right? I'm not going to get too political. I feel like we're all on the same page, but I'm not going to get too political in this particular conversation, but I probably will in the future. That power structure will cling to power, right? But Pluto doesn't give a fuck about that, right? Oh, right. Cause she's queer. Yeah, okay. Which is weird, cause like Chapel is very queer too. But anyway, that's not the conversation I'm in. Conversation that I'm in is, power is trying to cling. The next 10 years or so are going to be difficult as they try to implement austerity. But Aquarius is not with it. Aquarius is of the people, of the community, of equity, right? Not necessarily justice, although Aquarius is loved by justice. Aquarius loves free communication, right? And whenever communication is stifled under this, whatever this is right now, the people will always find a way to be able to communicate. Ultimately, spoiler alert, the people win. That is what Pluto and Aquarius is about. Pluto and Aquarius is about destroying all that does not serve equity and lifting up the common good, right? Well, I shouldn't use the word good because astrology is neutral, right? Like, what is good? But, we saw a rise in control of the state over the last 16 years. That was Capricorn. Aquarius is not about that. Aquarius is about the community, about the wider society. There's been a lean towards like a one world government for a long time. We might see something like that, but we'll see. Anyway, the suffering that we will endure is temporary, and the people will win. A lot of communication at home, very open communication. Open communication is it, right? And Pluto and Aquarius is also about finding the truth, right? Like Aquarius is in search of the empirical truth, right? And because we are humans and we're all of different minds, we all have a different truth in our head, but what actually happened? Like, what are the facts? That's, why Aquarius rules astrology, right? So astrology is going to become mainstream again, and here is it happening right now. So my question is, with me having a heavy Aquarius chart, what do I benefit, or how can I align myself? Sorry, I'm late. It's okay. I'm pretty much finished with the history lecture. I'm just kind of talking about what's happening now. Well, if you have a heavy Aquarius chart, then you need to, be... Here's Aquarius's dilemma, right? Aquarius wants to wear the sunglasses because across the chart from us is Leo. And Leo is the sun, right? Leo is ruled by the sun, and it is bright, and it is in public, and everybody wants to see it. But Aquarius doesn't want to be seen. We are born in the winter where it is darker, and we want to wear the sunglasses and have nobody perceive us. But you need to be perceived because people need to hear what you have to say. And although what you have to say, when you are speaking your truth, which is you know, the truth, and you see what is happening, and you see what's happened in the past, and you're like, well, if that happened, then this is about to happen, right? We are prophetic. I always have on sunglasses. Yeah, me too. What has happened now? We manifested as a collective. From destruction comes rebirth. Facts. That's a great summary of what I just said, honestly. But as an Aquarius, you're going to have to be perceived. You have to be perceived. That is the remedy, right? Our opposition is Leo. So the more that we walk in our Leo self, because you are all the zodiac signs. Every single one is in you. In your physical body, in your personality, and in your heart. You are all of the zodiac signs. It all shows up in some kind of way, right? No, it doesn't matter where your planets are. You are all of the signs. So with that in mind, try to walk in your Leo, as well as continuously speaking your truth, right? Communicating clearly and effectively about what you see, no matter who doesn't believe you, because you will have many non-believers, because we are the weirdos, right? And it is easy to dismiss what is strange. But fuck them, girl. That's my advice for my Sagittarius moon. Fuck them. Do you, right? Continue to do you, and you will find your people. There will be people that are like, oh, for real? You know, and those are your people. But most people will dismiss you and be like, that's not going to happen. And then when it happens, you know, that's when, you know, the I told you so kicks in. And sometimes those are the I told you so's that I have right now really kind of hurt, because like we're experiencing violence. Sagittarius rising. Okay, Jesse. That's great balance, honestly, because you're a Taurus sun, right? Did I miss class? You did miss class, but you will not miss class forever, because I'm going to post this up on YouTube by tomorrow. So if you want to stay connected, right here, go to my link tree. In the link tree is the syllabus. The syllabus is a Google Doc. I got a little human here who is antsy. Hi, little human. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi. I love you guys.
Oh, you're so sweet. My sweetie pie. How was my birthday? It was amazing. Oh, they're saying hi to you. They say hi. Oh, so precious. Oh, everybody loves your face, just like me. So yeah, this will be up on YouTube. Join the Discord. You can't join the Discord from this link. It's not gonna work. Okay. They say, hey, Ladybug, hi. You can't open the Discord link from the TikTok browser. You're gonna have to open it somewhere else. What I recommend you do is get your Google Doc. What is this? Oh, my life. Inactivity. What are you talking about? How am I inactive? TikTok is tripping. Okay. Weird. I have not. I've never worked in regular retail. I used to work in food service, but I never really worked in retail, which is wild because I love clothes, and I have a stellium that would say maybe I should have been working in clothing, but it never happened. Okay, anyway, join the Discord, get the Google Doc. You'll have everything that you need. There are fresh links in there. If you have any questions, the ways to contact me are in there. I swear I know you from somewhere. Let me see your face. You will hate retail. Yeah. I'm sure I would. What else do I want to tell y'all? Yeah, really just join the Discord and get the syllabus. If you want some cool links to read, get into the Google Classroom. I'm not going to grade any assignments for real. If you do it, I'm going to give you 100. I'm not like gonna A, B, C, D, F. No, we're not gonna do that. But I will give you 100 if you share some information, because I want this to be interactive and a whole community so that we can like hang out and learn together and talk about astrology, because like that's exactly what we need to be doing right now. And this is how I'm contributing to the revolution. How will you contribute to the revolution? Thank you so much for participating in class. We will have class again next Wednesday at 11:05 a.m. And that's it. I'll see y'all on Discord.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.